Okay, we are live. All right. So, hey, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever the heck you are. I am delighted that you're here. I'm Phil Gerbishek, and today I get to talk to someone who got up extra early to be with me. It's 7 a.m. where she is, and we're going to talk today about effective sales enablement with Pam Didner. Pam is an expert in all things on the marketing side of sales, the sales enablement. So we're going to come at this in multiple ways. I'm super excited that she's here. I'm delighted that she's spending some time with me. So what's up, Pam? How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's wonderful talking to you, Phil.
Thank
And
you.
yes, it's super early.
Get up before the dogs do, right?
That's right. That's right. Started to work early, so it's all good. It's wonderful
Good.
to be on your show.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you're here. So it's interesting that a marketer would write a sales enablement book. I think that's really interesting. But as I read this book, one of the things that sticks out with me is one of the senior VPs at Salesforce, Matt Gorniak, and he says something that now makes it perfectly sensible. I do believe the modern sales leader has to be a marketer. So let's start there. Why is that, Pam? Why does the modern sales leader have to be a marketer?
Well, if you think about it, everybody's online right now. And we're sharing so much information actually online, right? And salespeople are always looking for clues for their prospects. Where is the best place to look for the clues of your prospect? It's online. And obviously, you can do a lot of search and you can virtual stalk your prospect, but at the same time, you need to have a presence, right? So the salespeople cannot just push the sales to the prospects anymore. A lot of times, the customers, especially on the B2B side, they expect you to actually know their industry. They expect you to be a subject matter expert. In order to show that you are subject matter experts, you need to be online. You need to be a marketer. You need to be on the social media channels that they are at. So in essence, in the past, if you think about it, Phil, and you probably can share a lot of your insights with us as well, the salespeople tend to excel in terms of face-to-face communication. They are so good at it in terms of convincing people to buy stuff or to try the products and services they are selling, and that's fantastic. Now you have to be great in terms of a face-to-face communication. At the same time, you have to present yourself and have a certain kind of online presence. And that is not something I would say, including myself actually, I was a traditional marketer, including myself, I was not very good online. But, internally, in my previous job in the corporate world, I'm very, very good at working with the different stakeholders. But I have to put myself out there. And that also applies to all the salespeople. They have to put themselves out there, so they need to be a marketer in addition to be a great salesperson.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we now need both halves. I would also say marketing needs to understand sales because it
100%
isn't right.
agree.
It isn't just a one-way street here, and I think that's a lesson for anybody listening or watching that's thinking, boy, well, that's not fair. Why does sales have to change? Sales does not have to change alone. Marketing has to change as well, and marketing enables that, just like sales often is going to fuel the marketing team with, hey, this is what really resonates. It's a partnership here with that. So content marketing, do you think, whose responsibility is that, Pam? Is it everybody's responsibility to write content, or is it just marketing still, or what do you think?
That's actually a good point. If I have to, I don't want to say, oh yeah, both of us, the sales side needs to do it as well. To be honest with you, salespeople's time is precious. And from my perspective, especially, I have always been on the B2B side, that the salespeople should focus on selling, right? Their time is really focused on anything that related to sales. In terms of content marketing or generating content, if you ask my initial verdict, it should be on the marketing side. It should be marketing and also the business units, the product marketing that actually create the content and then tailor the content actually for sales usage. However, now everybody create content. If you think about it, especially in the B2B world, as long as you have a budget, guess what? you can create content, right? So there is no specific ownerships, and the content in a way has been decentralized. So if the sales side, they are not getting the content they need, say from marketing or from the product marketing or from the business unit, guess what? They are going to create content themselves. And a lot of time they do create the content for sales onboarding and sales trainings. And a good chunk of the sales enablement function of it is on the onboarding and the training side of it. So in a way, sales are actually, salespeople are, or sales teams are creating content. But when I'm thinking about content creation, I always feel that is the primary function of a content creation should come from marketing. And then sales pretty much just complement that if certain type of content cannot be created. Does that make sense? So Absolutely. It's who leads, who follows type of the answer.
Absolutely. No, and I totally agree with that. I don't think salespeople should take the time to write a 20-page white paper.
Not at all.
Or do an hour-long video. But I can tell you, sales making it even more relevant to the existing customer base because they know each of them. Helping them down the buyer's journey, I think, is really helpful. So if they read a piece of content, so I do think it's sales' responsibility to be aware of the content that's out there, and then to make it relevant,
with that, yes,
right, and then to make it relevant. So instead of here's a book that sales wrote. No. I'm talking. Okay, well they read it and they say, you know what, Mr. Prospect, Ms. Prospect, in Chapter 7, when we talk about this would be really relevant because you said that. Right. And I think that's really the role, at least as I'm coaching sales teams, in how do they leverage the content in the best way.
Yep. They need to know where the contents, where the content pieces are, and whenever the prospects or the customers are asking questions, they know where to go to actually get the relevant information to actually help their customers. Yeah, I do agree with you. However, this is another thing I want to share with you in terms of a content creation. And this is not something that the salespeople, in a way, they are creating content. For example, Phil, you are asking me a specific question. Say, hey, Pam, you are selling these products, but you know what? Can you give me a quick demo about this product? So instead of for me to run into my demo guy and try to get a demo to you, if I know the products well enough, I can use Zoom to actually do a quick recording, right? In terms of, hey, you know what? I'm going to do a screen recording in terms of how to use this product. And you do that quick content creation, if you will, and then you send it out to your customers. So in a way, the salespeople are creating content. And if they are really a marketers, they know how to use Zoom. And they will know how to actually do a quick demo and then send it to their customers. Does that make sense? So Absolutely. All of a sudden, to be a marketer as a salesperson, to know how to use some of the online tools, and that will actually enable the salespeople to actually create content, but not something very heavy, but it's something that they can solve or showcase the product and service very quickly to their customers. So content marketing also plays into that.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's really important, for salespeople to understand the tools that they have. And then their small piece of the content puzzle is really important. And then I would say it's also then sales' job to get that back to marketing and say, okay, maybe this is a good marketing piece that you could expand on, because I did a 90-second video, right? I did a quick 90-second video using a tool like Zoom or OneMob, and then I got it over to marketing for marketing to say, okay, well, that's great, and now we can make it even bigger. Or perhaps we even use that little 90-second slice, cut out the customer's name, and use that then as a demo, because I also think that just-in-time content resonates even more than something that marketing took 10 years to create, right? Because often it takes marketing a lot longer because they want to be perfect.
They want to be professionally done, but I hear you.
Yeah. So as we think about that, you mentioned that it's about finding content. So what is marketers' role in helping sales find the right content?
The way I see that is in the B2B side, if you think about it, and a lot of B2B company, they actually create a lot of content. And they, with the products launch, they have a new content that's coming out. When the product has been updated, they have to update the content. And the best way to actually help the salespeople to find content is actually attend a sales weekly call. A lot of sales team, they have a weekly call. They have a huddle calls and provide a status update and talk about the deals. And what I have found most useful, even when I was supporting the indirect and the direct sales force, is I attend their meetings. I don't call additional meetings. They don't have time, right? So I try to be part of whatever they do. So if they have a regular call, I'm actually part of it. And I try to inject myself into that agenda item. They actually have a standing topics they talk about every single week. And from time to time, I will add myself as one of the topics or one of the agenda items and basically say, hey, you know what? Content updates or marketing updates. So in that meeting, and I usually talk with the chairperson who leads that meeting and say, hey, I want to talk about the upcoming marketing plan, or guess what? There's quarterly content updates. These are the 3 pieces of content that I will be pushing out. It will be tagged this way, and this is how you should use it. Really, the 5 to 10 minutes update, of course, all that information needs to be uploaded to a sales or content marketing platform that sales team use so they can easily track it. Does that make sense? I think the best way to actually that salespeople know about your content is to attend their weekly call and it'll be proactively participating and also sharing with them the information. They are not going to remember. But if you share something, they will say, oh, you know what? Pam said something a couple of weeks ago about certain content. My customer is asking right now, and let me do search, or let me send a quick email to Pam. So the way that to actually help the salespeople to find the content is, first of all, depending on what kind of sales content management platform that you use, make sure you tag it nicely and with a detailed description. It's easy for them to find. At the same time, attend their weekly call and share that information proactively.
Yeah, I think that's important. The biggest part there is making sure that it is part of the process each week so that they understand what's there, right? Yeah. It's not about more. It's about being present and being part of the process, because, you know, salespeople often think of marketing as an extraneous thing, that they're, you know, marketing doesn't qualify leads right. And when in reality, marketing is there to help you answer questions in a more real-time fashion. Marketing is there to enable sales to be able to make those. But you mentioned these sales-specific content marketing platforms. Boy, I've never heard of that before, Pam. What are we talking about here? Are you talking like a CRM, maybe like Salesforce?
No, I actually was talking about, there's a couple of tools, and the film, maybe you can chime in as well. HighSpot is actually kind of like a sales-centric content management platform. Showpad, there's another startup called NAP, is in Denmark. They actually, NAPP, the platform they create, it's kind of like, some of them are very, very much mobile device friendly, that you can pull that the content directly into your iPad, and then you can showcase, say, run the presentation, run the demo, run the PDF, and directly with your customer. It's on your mobile devices. And so they are sales-centric. A lot of them call them sales enablement content management platform. And it's tailored specifically for sales needs. And they usually integrated with different content management platforms that the marketing use. And a lot of them also integrated directly with Salesforce. That means you can download that information from there.
Awesome. So it's funny you say like it's got to integrate with Salesforce. And I think that's the point, right? Most of the salespeople are not going to know NAP, but they're going to know, oh, it's just inside Salesforce.
It's part of Salesforce. Yeah.
I think that's an important point here that we say, right? If we're enabling sales again, we have to be integrated with the sales tools that sales is already using. We do not need to be, go to this extraneous website with a separate login and password that doesn't integrate with crap, right? That's not the goal here. Yeah. The goal is to really empower in the same spot. And then you talked about tagging. Tagging is a great marketing term, but let's break that down for a sales professional. Pam, what does that really mean to tag content so that salespeople can find it?
Okay, so for folks out there, if you don't understand tagging, it's really, if you think about it, like you go to Google and you search something, right? Then Google will actually, like if I search, what do I search? Sales enablement, right? And then a lot of content will show up, right? And that means the content itself actually have phrases that related to sales enablement. So the Google can crawl and find the content and serves those content to you. And that's great. A lot of time it's easy to actually, when I say tagging, is there some sort of keywords that we use all the time to search for content? Is it possible you can actually label some of the content with some of the keywords, right? And so it's easy to search for your content to serve up. So that same analogy apply, that when you uploaded content to the sales-centric content management platform, of course, a lot of times the platform itself actually have a search capabilities. But in a lot of the platform nowadays, they will claim that they actually have AI based capability in terms of picking up the content. But a lot of platform, they still need you to tag or label, see that as labeling, or adding keywords to your content, kind of like categorize your content. So when the salespeople enter certain type of keywords, hopefully you will match, the content will come up. Is that helpful, Phil?
Yeah, that's super helpful. And I'm glad you said the word categorize, because that's something, salespeople are going to get that, right? If you're in sales and you're listening to this and you're like, crap, so I have to look for this. No, here's the thing. It is natural language categorization. Yep. The goal is not to try to teach you how to, do Boolean search here. The goal is for marketers to tag it in the right way so that you can find it, much like you in the table of content. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Cool. So, and I looked at NAP. It looks really interesting. NAPP.DK must be a Denmark company, or
it is a Denmark company.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
but there, HighSpot is another one that's pretty popular, especially for enterprise. Showpad is another one. There's quite a bit of platforms out there. Yeah.
Cool. So we enabled them with some content, and that's important. But one of the things that is also important is to make sure that marketers understand the sales process that they have.
Yeah.
Because that's really, if we can match content to that process, we can now be much more successful. So talk to me, Pam, about how we can align that messaging with the sales process.
You brought a very good point. I think there's one thing, and I made that mistake when I was supporting sales in the past. So when I was supporting sales and I supported the sale kind of like any other marketers people do, I provide qualified leads and I share the content. But when I was doing it initially, I did not understand their methodologies that they use and also what kind of process they follow. All right. So I was sharing the information, but I'm thinking from kind of like, what a user's perspective and the customer journey's perspective. But if you think about it, sales don't think that way. When sales talking about the deal closure, when they talk about prospect, it's more linear process, right? They contacted the sales and they contact the prospect and they have a conversation with them. They do a demos and hopefully they submit the deal, the RFP, and hopefully they win or they lose the deals. So their thinking process is more linear. Granted, the communication is going back and forth within that process. And I think it's important for me when I supported a sales team is to understand what that process is. So Phil, you mentioned a couple of times and I loved it, is for marketers to understand the sales process. And when I was supporting them, I did not know that. I'm not kidding. I made that mistake. And now, of course, I know, but the information I want to share with you is for you to understand, for the marketers out there, if you are supporting sales, you have to understand their sales methodology and the sales process. That's very important. The next question that you answer is, how do we tie that together? Okay, So if you think about it, the customer journey tend to be awareness, consideration, purchase, but also the people going back and forth between awareness and the considerations, right? It's not even though the funnel looks very direct, but how we shop nowadays is going back and forth. So with that being said, with that going back and forth, there is probably a list of the content that you are actually serve up to somehow facilitate that customer journey. So is it possible, I'm trying to visualize this, but if you want to find out more information, reach out to me. I can share with you templates. And is it possible to match that customer journey with the sales journey? It is possible, actually. So
it's critical. It's not just possible. It's absolutely critical.
I totally agree. If you can actually map them, then you can somehow see that some of the content that you are using on the customer journey can actually take it one level down to the sales stage. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I wrote a blog post actually recently, about 2 weeks ago, with Content Marketing Institute, and specifically talking about the creative ways that the marketers can enable sales instantly. And the one options I was talking about is how to map the customer journeys with the sales stages. So if you just do a Google search, I cannot totally remember the blog post. I think it's 3 easy or creative way that marketers can enable sales instantly. And it's published on Content Marketing Institute.
Yep.
So check that blog post. I talk specifically about how to map the customer journey with sales stages.
Awesome. Yeah, 3 easy ways content marketers can provide instant value to the sales teams.
You found it, Phil?
I did find it. Of course I did. And so I'll tweet it out and I'll include it there so that we have it, because that's really, really important stuff. And I would say out of all the stuff that we talk about, if we can make sure that they're aligned, that we have that value for the sales team, marketing will be beloved by your sales team. And if we don't talk that way, marketing is going to be an afterthought, and sales is going to be like, get them out of here. They're wasting my time. I'm just saying, because I've been in these meetings, Pam. I watch this I watch this in organizations where marketing goes off and does their thing. And they don't even use the same language. If they're not taught, a marketing qualified lead, there's no such thing as an MQL. It's qualified, full stop. If it's not, really, because marketing's not calling people. It's got to be qualified.
It has to be qualified.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It has to be qualified either by inside sales or by the marketing team. Yes, I do agree.
Yeah. So there's so much goodness in here that you've got in this book. I mean, effective sales enablement is packed full of goodness here. So let's talk a little bit more about tools that can help, because we talked about that content tool. Are there other tools that you recommend marketing equipping the sales team with to help them be even better?
It's really depending on what you do specifically with the sales team, right? And one of the tools that was recommended to me actually by a couple of a sales professional, they are trainers, by the way, is if you do account-based marketing specifically, and that means the sales and the marketings are working very, very closely to tackle a strategic or specific account. One of the tools that was suggested is Engagio. Have you heard about it, Phil? Engagio. Engagio. Nope. Apparently, I have not used that myself, but it's a collaboration platform or tools between sales and marketing. And in terms of how to drive the conversation and communication between sales and marketing, and is very beneficial for account-based marketing. So that was shared with me actually by a couple of the sales consultants. And so that was a platform that has been used. And I mentioned about sales content management platform a couple times. And my take on this is there's so many tools, sales enablement tools out there. I strongly suggest that the sales and marketing folks alike, that you have to look into your process and then determine where the inefficiencies are, and then find the tools to make it easier. Does that make sense? And I'm not saying that, Mike, to find a standalone tools. That's not my point. Obviously, one of the prerequisites is to make sure any kind of SaaS-based platform that you find can be integrated easily either into your marketing automation tools or your CRM. These are the two basic tools that everybody has, right? So you make sure that whatever SaaS-based platform tools that you find to increase the productivity is of both sales and marketing, that needs to be integrated very nicely into those tools.
Awesome. Love that. Great points there about that integration. So as we're kind of drawn to a close here, give us some of the pitfalls that we can get, that can stop us from getting this integration, stopping sales and marketing from working nicely together.
I think one reality that we have to just embrace is that sales and marketing are very different functions. And they tend to have different goals, right? And also, when I say different goals, like sales are actually, they are pressured to meet monthly and quarterly quotas. And marketing tend to more focus on, long term, right? So in terms of timing wise, different goals. And also they have different priorities. And the sales tend to more focus on the bottom of the purchase funnels, right? That's close the deal, close the deal, close the deals. And marketers probably needs to focus on from the top of the funnel down to the bottom of funnels, right? So the priority is different. And the priorities and also different goals ultimately will drive the resource allocation and also budget allocation. There is a fundamental difference between sales and marketing. Period. There's no way, I'll be very honest, that they can be 100% aligned. They can't because they have different functions. The key things is trying to find the commonality in the misalignment. What are some of the common initiatives, like the two circles, if they overlap, what is that sweet spot? And trying to work on that sweet spot. So to answer your question, Phil, it's like there will always be very different, kind of like men, like men and women and boys and girls. However, and what is that sweet spot, and trying to find that commonality within the misalignment and then work on that. Is that helpful?
That's super duper helpful. So folks, if you're drawing at home in your brain, draw two circles, have some overlap.
Sweet spot.
Yep, and that little sliver, sometimes hopefully a bigger sliver of alignment there is wonderful. But then think about that misalignment on the edges as well. Don't just focus on the things that are in common, because there are different functions. There's different needs, different goals, different time frames as well, and different skill sets needed to do both of them.
100% agree.
Cool. So the book is Effective Sales Enablement, Pam. I'm sure it's doing great, selling a ton of books. But give us one more tip in the book that we need to know before we go and buy a copy of this.
All right. So, like I said, this book was actually written for marketers who are supporting the sales team. So if you are a marketer supporting the sales, this book will actually provide quite a bit of ideas in terms of how you can better support them. But if you are salespeople working very closely with the sales team, this book will also be helpful in terms of providing ideas how to work with them in a more productive manner. And here are a couple things. Really, if you are marketers and supporting sales for a long period of times, I'm telling you, the chapters that you have to read really is chapter 4, 5, and 6. And I know everybody's super busy all the time. So I'm kind of like a teacher who actually tell you in terms of what chapters you should read for the test. But if you are super busy, the chapter you have to read 4, 5, and 6, and you can get a gist out of it. And by the way, if you read a book, here's the thing, Phil. If your readers read a book and can't find anything compelling, relevant, and useful, if you cannot find anything at all, okay, schedule a call with me on pamdidner.com. I will get on a call with you to understand what your personal challenges are, and I'll find a solution for you. I promise.
Wow. So folks, So go get Effective Sales Enablement. Read chapters 4, 5, and 6. 4 is branding and messaging also apply to sales. Yes, it does. 5 is key sales enablement ingredients, training, content, and coaching. And 6 is all marketing lead to sales. And I would add, or it doesn't exist for long. And if that doesn't work for you, Pam is going to talk to you so you can make things work. Because frankly, I'll tell you what, the book is fantastic. It's Effective Sales Enablement. Those books are going to help you. But Pam just said, if it doesn't, she's going to help you.
Give me a call.
Yeah, but
I'll work something out for you.
Yeah. So, but this is $25 well spent. Go get the book. It's on sale often, right? So you're going to
charge to your company.
That's it. Yeah. Great investment. So the website is pamdidner.com. The book is Effective Sales
Enablement.
Really good stuff available on Amazon and where finer books are sold. And Pam, it was just a delight to talk to you. Hey, thanks for getting up early to share with us some effective sales enablement trips.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.